My hands are still shaking. Dude, NGL, I never thought I'd be posting something like this, but here we are. I'm Chad, 43, CEO of Apex, married to Bethany for 15 years, living what I thought was the perfect life. But yesterday, my mechanic found something in my Lexus that just blew my entire world apart. This isn't just about a car, it's about everything I thought was real. I'm sitting here, staring at my phone, trying to make sense of the last 24 hours. My hands are still clenching. I can feel the tremor running up my arms. It all started with my Lexus. I thought it was just acting up, a little sluggish, maybe needing an oil change. I told Bethany I had some engine trouble and took it to Mikey, my go-to mechanic, a guy I've known since high school. He's meticulous, old school, doesn't miss a trick. He called me yesterday afternoon, his voice grim. Chad, you gotta get down here. This ain't that engine trouble. My stomach dropped. When I got to the garage, Mikey was leaning over the open hood, his face a mask of concern. He showed me the brake line. It wasn't broken, not exactly. It was tampered with, like someone had meticulously loosened it, just enough. Enough fluid for normal stops, he said, his voice low. But if you needed to brake hard, like really hard in an emergency, it would have blown. Disastrous, Chad. You wouldn't have stood a chance. Disastrous. The word echoed in my head. I felt a cold dread spread through me, chilling me to the bone. This wasn't an accident. This was targeted. Someone wanted me dead. I looked at Mikey, my own voice barely a whisper. Fix it. Replace everything. And document everything. Every single detail. But keep this quiet for now. Don't tell anyone. He just nodded, his eyes meeting mine, understanding. He knew. Driving home, I could feel the adrenaline coursing through me, making my hands shake on the wheel. My mind raced. The new house, the steep cul-de-sac at the end of the street. If I'd been coming down that hill and needed to slam on the brakes, NGL, it could have been fatal. A silent, untraceable accident. Who the hell would do this? My first thought immediately went to Apex, my company, a $6.8 billion software giant. We've had rivals, aggressive takeovers, but never anything like this. This felt personal, not just business. Was someone trying to take me out of the picture? To seize control? The paranoia started to set in, a creeping, sickening feeling. I pulled into the driveway. The house was quiet, too quiet. Brenda, our housekeeper, was conveniently away this week, visiting family. Usually there's some background noise, some sign of life. But today, just silence, amplifying every creak, every shadow. It felt like the walls were closing in, the quiet pressing down on me. I needed to act, to find answers, but discreetly. Who could I trust? Jake Davis, head of Apex Security. Solid guy, ex-military, loyal. I walked into my home office, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs, and called him. Jake, I said, trying to keep my voice even, I need you to run a full, discreet financial audit. Every department, every executive. I'm talking deep dive beyond the surface. He didn't ask questions, just said, consider it done, Chad. That's why I trust him. My eyes drifted to Bethany's laptop sitting innocently on her desk in our shared study. An illogical, almost insane thought sparked in my mind. What if? No, it couldn't be. But the convenient absence of Brenda, the quiet house, the sheer audacity of the attack, I just needed to know. I sat down, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I tried to access her files, password protected, of course. A small but insistent red flag popped up in my brain. IDK, maybe it was normal, but right then, everything felt suspicious. Just as I was about to close it, the front door opened. Bethany. She walked in carrying a grocery bag, her usual cheerful expression. Then her eyes landed on me, sitting at her computer. Her face went from casual to pure, unadulterated shock. Terror, actually. Her jaw dropped and she whispered, Alex, what? Why are you here? Alex? Who the hell is Alex? The name hit me like a physical blow, but I forced myself to ignore it, to keep my composure. I couldn't let her know what I was really doing, or what Mikey found. Not yet. I had to play it cool. Hey, babe, I managed, my voice rougher than I intended. Mikey just called about the Lexus. Said it was an engine issue, nothing major. I'm just trying to figure out what files I need to send him for the diagnostic. Lying through my teeth, pretending to be nonchalant. She recovered quickly, a strange tightness around her eyes. Oh, okay. Good to know it's not serious. Later, I was in the shower, the hot water beating down on my head, trying to wash away the fear and the confusion. That's when I heard her. My phone buzzing on the counter next to the running water meant I couldn't clearly hear what she was saying, but I heard the tone. Urgent. Hushed. And then, clear as day, her voice, a strained whisper. Jay, dog, you have to fix this now. He's acting weird. Jay, dog. My blood ran cold. My heart hammered against my ribs. Jake, dog. That's what Jake Davis's closest friends called him. A gut punch of suspicion hit me, a wave of nausea. Jake Davis, the head of my security, the man I just asked to investigate everything, and Bethany, talking to him. About fixing this, was this the car? NGL, it hit hard, harder than Mikey's warning. The J-Dog incident in the shower had been the last straw. My brain was a whirlwind of suspicion, anger, and a sick, gut-wrenching betrayal. I couldn't confront Bethany, not yet. I needed answers, hard proof. So the next morning, I cooked up a story. Babe, I said, trying to sound a little stressed but casual. Something urgent just came up with the LA office. Major client issue. I have to fly out first thing this morning. I'll be back by Friday. Her eyes, I noticed, flickered with something unreadable for a split second. Then she put on a convincing show of concern. Oh no, Chad, is everything okay? Do you need me to pack anything? I just shook my head, already feeling the distance between us. Nah, I'll be fine. Just a quick trip. As soon as the plane took off, a strange sense of calm settled over me, replacing the frantic energy. This wasn't a business trip. This was Operation Ghost Mode. I pulled out a notebook and started planning, meticulously. First rule, complete anonymity. No using my regular phone, no credit cards that could be traced back to me directly. I needed to disappear, at least from my known life, to observe, to investigate. This was a war, and I was going completely off-grid. Landing at LAX, my first stop wasn't the hotel. It was a rundown convenience store in a strip mall. I walked in, grabbed a burner phone, paid cash. No registration, no ties. Ghost mode officially activated. It felt both liberating and terrifying. This was real. I checked into the Beverly Wilshire, paying with a corporate card I rarely used, hoping it wouldn't raise any immediate flags. The first person I called from my new anonymous line was Mark Johnson. Mark was my former right-hand man at Apex, the guy who knew everything, but had left a few years ago to start his own consulting firm. He was smart, loyal, and discreet. If anyone knew the subtle undercurrents, the whispers in the corporate hallways, it would be Mark. We met for lunch at a low-key spot downtown. I watched him carefully as we talked, catching up on surface-level stuff. Then I steered the conversation. Mark, I started, trying to sound casual. You're still in the loop on a lot of Apex stuff, right? Anything unusual going on? Any whispers about issues within the company? I was fishing, hoping he'd bite. He took a sip of water, his brow furrowed slightly. Well, not anything concrete, Chad, but you know how it is, always chatter. Though if you're looking for someone for discreet security or investigations, I've heard good things about Gary Stone at Vertex Securities, top-notch, very quiet. Vertex Securities, noted. The piece of information slotted into my mental puzzle. Then I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the next question. This was the one that would hurt. Mark, I said, my voice low, this is going to sound out of left field, but have you ever, in all the years you worked with me, ever seen Bethany act suspiciously? Like anything at all that seemed off? Mark froze. He put his fork down slowly, looked at me, then looked away, fidgeting. The hesitation was a punch to the gut. TBH, that pause alone confirmed my fears. I could feel the blood draining from my face. Chad, he started, his voice barely a whisper. NGL, this is really tough to say, but yeah, back when she first started coming to company events, she was pretty flirtatious with a lot of guys, even with me, actually. He looked genuinely uncomfortable. almost apologetic. My stomach twisted. I remembered those early days. I'd brushed it off as her just being friendly, charming. Now it looked like a massive red flag I'd completely ignored. Then he dropped the real bomb. And look, I wouldn't normally say this, but my wife, Debbie, she's friends with Lisa Peterson, Kevin Green's wife. Lisa apparently told Debbie that Kevin might be having an affair. And the word around their circle from Lisa is that it's with Bethany. Kevin Green, my CFO, the man I trusted with Apex's finances. My world tilted on its axis. The car. J-Dog. Jake Davis, and now Kevin Green. It was all clicking into place, a horrifying, sickening mosaic of betrayal. A cold certainty settled in my gut, freezing out all other emotions. Bethany was definitely involved. This wasn't just about someone trying to kill me for business. This was personal. This was my wife. I finished my coffee, my hands now steady. The shock had given way to a chilling resolve. "Thanks, Mark," I said, my voice flat. "You've given me a lot to think about." I walked out, pulling out my prepaid phone. I needed Gary Stone. Right now. I dialed the number Mark had given me. "Mr. Stone," I said, "my name is Chad. Mark Johnson recommended you. I need absolute confidentiality, and I need a firm that is completely untraceable. This is extremely sensitive." Gary Stone was impressive, professional, no nonsense. After I laid out the vague parameters of needing an untraceable firm, he didn't waste a second. "Understood," he said, his voice calm. "For what you're describing, especially the tech aspect, I'd recommend Frank Reynolds down in San Diego. He runs a tight ship, an intelligence team second to none. He's discreet, effective, and knows how to keep things off the books." Another layer, another name. Good. This was exactly what I needed. Compartmentalization. I thanked Stone and immediately called Frank Reynolds from my burner phone. I arranged a meeting for the following day, stressing that my identity was to remain completely undisclosed to him. He was just to expect a client with sensitive needs. The fewer people who knew my real name, the safer I felt, or at least the less exposed. Before that meeting, I needed a car that couldn't be traced back to me. No fancy Apex fleet vehicle. I called Mark Johnson again, careful with my words. "Mark, I need you to do me another favor. Rent a standard sedan from Hertz, under a shell company, or something untraceable. I'll pick it up, but it absolutely cannot be linked to me personally or to Apex." He didn't ask questions, just said, "Consider it done, Chad. What's the drop-off?" I gave him a location near the LA airport. That night, I had to put on a show for Bethany. She called, asking about my LA meetings. I forced myself to sound tired, annoyed, complaining about corporate politics and unresponsive VPs. It was excruciating, maintaining the fake LA persona, knowing what I knew. Every word felt like a betrayal of myself, but it was necessary. The charade was killing me, but I couldn't let her see any cracks. The next morning, I went full disguise. Sweats I hadn't worn in years, a faded baseball cap pulled low, and a pair of oversized dark sunglasses. I looked like some anonymous dad on a coffee run, not the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. This was my new uniform, my new identity. I picked up the rented car, a bland gray Honda Civic, and drove down to San Diego. The anonymity of it was strangely comforting. I parked several blocks from Frank Reynolds' office, just a small, unassuming building in a quiet part of town. This felt right. This felt like the kind of place where secrets were kept. Inside, Frank Reynolds was exactly as Gary Stone described him. Sharp, quiet, with an intense gaze. He looked like he'd seen things. I sat across from him, my heart a steady drumbeat in my chest. "Mr. Reynolds," I began, my voice low and deliberate, "I have a highly confidential and complex task that requires extensive high-tech computer work and absolute discretion." I paused, letting that sink in. "I'm prepared to offer a 7-figure fee for your firm's services, provided you deliver results in absolute secrecy." Money wasn't an object. Getting to the truth, protecting myself, was everything. Frank didn't flinch at the figure. He just leaned forward slightly. "My understanding was Gary Stone would be handling your affairs. Why come to me directly?" His question was direct. perceptive. He was testing me, assessing my layers of secrecy. Gary Stone is handling a different aspect of this, I explained, maintaining the compartmentalization. I need you to work completely independently. This is about covering my tracks, ensuring no single point of failure, and maintaining an untraceable investigation. Your firm needs to operate without any knowledge of who I am or who else I might be working with. He nodded slowly, clearly understanding the strategy. Then I took a deep breath. This was it. The moment I started pulling back the curtain on my own personal hell. All right, Mr. Reynolds, I said, my voice heavy with the weight of my story. Here's everything. From the tampered brake line in my Lexus, to my wife's hushed phone call to J-Dog, who I now suspect is Jake Davis, my head of security, and the allegations from an anonymous source that she might be having an affair with Kevin Green, my CFO. I watched his face carefully as I spoke, laying out the raw, ugly truth of my situation. He remained impassive, just listening, absorbing every chilling detail. Frank Reynolds didn't waste a second. As soon as I finished, he just nodded, a grim expression on his face. Understood, he said. This is a multifaceted attack. We'll start immediately. His team was already in motion before I even left his office. A silent, efficient machine. Their deep dive began, focusing on two main areas: Apex's intricate financial records and Bethany's entire digital footprint. The financial investigation was the first to yield results. Within days, Frank called me. Mr. Chad, he said, his voice flat, we found a series of hidden financial transfers routed through several shell companies. All of them led back to Kevin Green. It's sophisticated but sloppy enough to leave a trail once you know what to look for. My CFO, the man I trusted with billions. A knot tightened in my gut. Then came the second wave of information, the truly devastating blow. Bethany's password-protected devices. She thought she was so secure, so clever. But Frank's tech team was elite. They cracked her home computer, her tablet, her phone. The floodgates opened, incriminating emails, text messages, encrypted chats. It was all there, laid bare. The messages confirmed it all, in graphic, sickening detail. An ongoing, passionate affair between Bethany and Kevin Green. Not just a fling, but a deep, twisted connection. And worse, they weren't just exchanging sweet nothings. They were exchanging plans. Plans against me. Conversations about when Chad is out of the picture, how we'll manage the board, securing our future. My stomach churned, a bitter taste rising in my throat. Every happy memory, every shared laugh, every intimate moment suddenly felt like a lie, a carefully constructed performance. And Jake Davis, my head of security. The man I considered a friend, a loyal soldier. His complicity was undeniable. Messages showed him actively aiding Bethany and Kevin, providing information, blocking my access to certain company systems, even advising them on how to cover their tracks. J-Dog wasn't just a nickname, it was a code of betrayal. NGL, that one hurt almost as much as Bethany. The surprise party theory, my last desperate hope for a benign explanation, was utterly shattered. This wasn't some elaborate gift. This was a sinister corporate takeover plot, with me as the main obstacle. My death, it became clear, was not just a possibility. It was a necessary component of their plan. They wanted Apex, and they wanted it without me. And Bethany, my wife of 15 years, was right in the thick of it, orchestrating my downfall. Frank's team also managed to pull security footage from Mikey's garage. Mikey, bless his honest soul, had multiple cameras. And there it was, crystal clear. Jake Davis, my head of security, disguised in a mechanic's uniform, at my Lexus, leaning under the hood, fiddling with the brake line. A total red flag, now confirmed as damning evidence. He wasn't just complicit, he was the direct operative in the attempt on my life. The cold certainty I'd felt earlier now became an icy, crushing despair. The money trail was the final undeniable nail in the coffin. A huge sum, millions, traced to an offshore account, managed by Kevin, and the sole beneficiary? Bethany. It was all there. The motive was sickeningly clear, laid out in black and white. Eliminate me. take over Apex and cash in on a fortune built on my blood and sweat. Frank's team worked tirelessly, compiling everything into a comprehensive, bulletproof report. Emails, message logs, financial records, surveillance footage, timestamps, expert analysis. It was meticulously put together, undeniable evidence that would stand up in any court. There was no escaping this, no plausible deniability. My wife, my CFO, and my head of security had conspired to kill me and steal my company. I stared at the report, numb. My life, my entire reality, was a lie. Armed with Frank's comprehensive report, I flew back home. My face felt like it was carved from stone, a poker face so absolute it hurt. I walked into the house, greeted Bethany with a forced smile and a hug that felt like embracing a viper. "Rough trip, babe," I mumbled, acting like nothing was wrong, like my world hadn't just been torn to shreds. While she was out running errands, I moved through the house like a ghost, strategically placing hidden recording devices. Tiny, sophisticated mics Frank's team had provided. In the living room, the kitchen, our bedroom. Every word spoken in this house from now on would be captured. I needed her to incriminate herself, not just for my peace of mind, but for the legal battle that was inevitably coming. Over the next day, I subtly started dropping hints. "Funny," I'd say, watching her closely over dinner. "I thought I saw a familiar car parked near Mikey's garage the other day. Looked like Jake's old model." Or, "Kevin's been acting a little off lately, don't you think?" Distracted. I was testing her, trying to see how she'd react, how deeply she would commit to her lies. And she did. Fully. Bethany, completely unaware that I knew everything, went straight into full gaslighting mode. "Oh, Chad, you're just stressed from your trip," she'd coo, touching my arm. "Jake's car, you probably just saw someone else. And Kevin's always intense. You know how he is. You're imagining things." The casual dismissal, the sweet manipulation, it was sickening. She was so good at it. It made my blood run cold. Then I decided to give her just a tiny taste of what I knew. "You know," I mused, deliberately vague, "I was talking to Mikey, and he mentioned something about the brake line in my car, said it looked like someone messed with it." Her eyes darted just for a split second. A tiny, almost imperceptible tremor ran through her. "What? No, that's ridiculous, Chad. Mikey must be mistaken. You said it was just an engine issue." The panic was palpable in her voice, barely contained. It was a victory, a small one, but it showed me I was on the right track. Later that evening, after she thought I was asleep, I heard Ivreto. My new recording device, hidden in a lamp beside the bed, picked up every hushed word. She slipped out of bed, went to the bathroom, and made a frantic call. "Kevin," she whispered urgently, her voice trembling. "Chad just said something about the brake line. He knows something. What do we do?" The confirmation, raw and ugly, recorded for posterity. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Jake Davis, J-Dog. "Chad, man, how was LA?" he asked, his voice oozing fake concern. "Heard you had a tough one. Just checking in, making sure everything's all right." The sheer audacity of his act made my hand clench. I played along. "Yeah, tough trip. NGL, I've been feeling a bit off since I got back. Some things just not adding up with Apex Security. With the audit I asked you for, I need to talk through some things with you, Jake. Can you meet me later today? Maybe for a drink?" He readily agreed, eager to maintain his facade of loyalty. Our meeting was in a discreet bar chosen by me, of course, with another recorder nestled in my pocket. We talked about Apex, about the audit he was supposedly running. I watched him, stone-faced, as he spun lies, confidently detailing his supposed progress. Then I hit him with a carefully worded question. "Jake," I said, leaning forward, "did you ever, for whatever reason, have any interaction with my Lexus when it was at Mikey's garage?" He hesitated just for a beat too long. "Nah, Chad. Why would I? I mean, unless it was for security reasons, like if I was checking the perimeter or something, but that's not my area." The lie was obvious. And then, the critical slip-up. "Besides, Mikey knows I'm not a mechanic. He'd never let me near a car to fix it." He stressed "fix it," a clear indication he knew something was wrong with the car, even if he didn't explicitly admit to tampering. Got him. Stick around to the end to see how life's costly choices unfold. The confrontation with Kevin Green was next. I marched into Apex, into his office, without an appointment. His assistant tried to stop me, but I brushed past her. Kevin looked up, startled, his usual composed demeanor crumbling slightly. "Chad, what's going on?" I threw a folder onto his desk. Not Frank's full report, just a carefully selected few pieces. The hidden financial transfers, a printout of an incriminating email to Bethany about our future, and a still image from Mikey's garage security footage, clearly showing Jake at my car, with a timestamp. "Don't play dumb, Kevin," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "I know everything, the shell companies, the offshore account, the affair with Bethany, the plot against Apex, and the attempt on my life." His face went ashen. He stammered, "Chad, wait, this is a misunderstanding. I can explain. Bethany, she manipulated me. We can negotiate. I can fix this. I'll give you everything back. Just don't go to the authorities." Desperate, pathetic. He was cornered, begging. But I had him. The moment I left Kevin Green's office, I didn't hesitate. I called my top legal team, the sharpest corporate and family lawyers money could buy. I arranged an emergency meeting for that afternoon. Frank Reynolds discreetly delivered the full report, the recordings, everything directly to my lead counsel, Sarah Jenkins. Sitting across from Sarah and her team, I felt a strange mix of numb detachment and cold fury. They went through Frank's report, page by painstaking page, listening to the recordings I had made. The room was silent except for the rustle of papers and the click of the audio playback. When they were done, Sarah looked at me, her expression grim. "Chad," she said, her voice measured, "the charges are clear and overwhelming. Attempted murder, corporate fraud, conspiracy to defraud, and obviously marital infidelity for the divorce proceedings. This is a very strong case." "Good," I replied, my voice flat. "Initiate divorce proceedings against Bethany immediately. My prenup is ironclad. I want her to get nothing." I had insisted on that prenup 15 years ago, a standard measure for someone in my position, never imagining I'd actually need it to protect myself from my own wife. NGL, it felt like a sick twist of fate. While my legal team started the paperwork, I turned my attention to Apex. This wasn't just about my personal life, it was about the company I built from the ground up. I convened an emergency meeting with the Apex Board of Directors. I didn't mince words. I presented a distilled version of the evidence against Kevin Green and Jake Davis, enough to show clear malfeasance and a severe breach of trust, without revealing the full extent of the attempted murder plot just yet. My control of Apex was paramount. The board, shocked and appalled, moved swiftly. Jake Davis was called in first. He walked into the boardroom, still playing the loyal security chief, probably thinking he was about to talk strategy. Instead, he was handed a termination letter, effective immediately, citing gross misconduct and corporate espionage. As he was being escorted out, bewildered and protesting, the police who had been waiting downstairs met him. He was arrested on the spot, based on the evidence of the car tampering and his complicity that Frank's team had so meticulously laid out. That red flag I saw in Mikey's garage had just landed him behind bars. Kevin Green was next. He put up more of a fight, tried to threaten legal action, claimed defamation. But when my lawyers produced the financial documents, the offshore accounts, and the recordings of his frantic calls with Bethany, he crumbled. He was fired, stripped of all corporate threat access, and informed that criminal charges, including attempted murder and corporate fraud, would be filed against him imminently. The look on his face, the sheer terror, was almost satisfying. Almost. Finally, after securing Apex and isolating the immediate threats, my legal team officially brought in the police. Frank Reynolds' team presented their comprehensive report directly to the detectives. The evidence was overwhelming, meticulous, indisputable. The police chief himself was reportedly stunned by the depth and audacity of the conspiracy. My legal team ensured my ironclad prenup was fully enforced. Every asset, every dollar tied to Apex or my personal fortune was protected. Bethany's grand scheme to inherit my wealth and take over my company was falling apart, piece by excruciating piece. Bethany, realizing the walls were closing in, started her own desperate campaign. She began calling friends, spreading rumors, trying to discredit me. She painted me as paranoid, controlling, even abusive. IDK what she thought she would achieve. But every accusation, every desperate lie was being logged by my team. My lawyers assured me it wouldn't hold up, especially with the mountain of evidence against her. It was just another layer of her deceit, another desperate attempt at gaslighting. Then the inevitable started happening. News of the corporate scandal, the high-profile arrests, and the whispers of attempted murder began to leak to the press. Apex was a major corporation, and this was going to be a bombshell. I instructed my PR team to prepare a public statement carefully crafted to control the narrative, to protect Apex, and to let the world know the truth on my terms. This wasn't just a divorce, it was a full-blown war. The news broke like a tsunami. Apex CEO's wife, CFO, and head of security in murder plot. The headlines were everywhere. Bethany's carefully constructed public image, the perfect wife, the charming hostess, the supportive partner, shattered into a million pieces. The details of her betrayal, the affair, the corporate fraud, the attempted murder splashed across every major news outlet. Social media, of course, exploded. Twitter, Reddit, Facebook. It was a frenzy of outrage and condemnation. People couldn't believe it. Bethany, Jake, Kevin, their names became synonymous with greed and treachery. I saw posts calling them sick, evil, monsters. NGL, it was a brutal public reckoning. And while it felt like justice in one sense, it was also a stark, painful reminder of the depth of the betrayal. I was living in a false, struggling daily with the emotional aftermath. It wasn't just the attempted murder, though that was terrifying enough. It was the profound betrayal. Bethany, the woman I shared my life with for 15 years, the person I loved and trusted implicitly, and Jake, who I considered a close friend. The sheer audacity of their deception, the cold calculation, left me reeling. I felt hollowed out, emotionally numb one moment, shaking with rage the next. Sleep was a luxury I rarely got, haunted by replays of their lies. The outpouring of support, however, was immense. Friends, family, colleagues, everyone reached out. Shock, disbelief, but also unwavering solidarity. My phone was constantly buzzing with messages. "Chad, I can't believe this. We're here for you. Whatever you need." It was overwhelming, but in a good way. It reminded me that not everyone was a viper. Mark Johnson called, his voice full of regret. "Chad, I'm so sorry. I should have said something sooner about Bethany, about Kevin. I didn't want to believe it." Mikey, my mechanic, also called, apologizing profusely for not realizing what Jake was doing. "I'll testify to anything, Chad." Jake knew I trusted him. He used me. Their apologies were heartfelt, and I knew their loyalty was genuine. Meanwhile, Frank's team and my financial auditors worked around the clock, calculating the full financial damage to Apex. The numbers were staggering. Kevin Green's fraud was extensive, a labyrinth of illicit transfers and hidden accounts that had siphoned millions from the company. It wasn't just my life they tried to take. They were bleeding Apex dry. Discussions inevitably surfaced about Bethany's 2 children from her previous marriage. They were teenagers, old enough to understand what was happening. My heart ached for them. While they weren't my biological children, I had been a stepfather to them for years. What Bethany had done, the sheer selfishness, would undoubtedly devastate their lives, branding them with the scandal. The wide-reaching impact of her actions was truly horrific. Bethany's legal team, seeing the overwhelming evidence and the public outcry, were clearly in damage control mode. They scrambled, making overtures to my lawyers, attempting to negotiate a plea, a reduced settlement, anything to soften the blow. My legal team relayed the offers, but my answer was always the same. "No," I told Sarah. "I want justice, full justice, maximum penalties for all of them. No deals, no leniency." My resolve was absolute. They tried to kill me, steal my company, and destroy my life. There was no forgiving that. The intense pressure of the ongoing investigation, the constant media scrutiny, the endless legal meetings, it all took a toll. I was functioning on fumes, my mental and emotional health hanging by a thread. There were moments I just wanted to disappear, to escape the nightmare. But I couldn't, not until they all faced the full consequences of their actions. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about Apex. It was about setting a precedent. It was about proving that betrayal of this magnitude would not go unpunished. The courtroom showdowns were brutal, draining, and utterly public. My divorce case against Bethany went first, becoming a media circus. Every day, news crews swarmed the courthouse, eager for every detail of the sordid affair in the corporate conspiracy. Bethany's lawyers, bless their desperate hearts, tried every trick in the book. They attempted to discredit Frank Reynolds' evidence, to paint me as paranoid, vengeful, and to rehash Bethany's attempts at gaslighting. They claimed the recordings were doctored, the financial data fabricated, that I was simply a controlling husband lashing out. But Frank Reynolds' team was prepared. They were meticulous, professional, and unshakable. Each expert testified, presenting intricate forensic data, explaining the digital trails, the cracked passwords, and the irrefutable surveillance footage from Mikey's garage. The sheer volume and quality of the evidence was overwhelming. It left no room for doubt. Then it was my turn to take the stand. NGL, that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I recounted the entire chilling story, from the tampered brake line to Bethany's hushed phone calls, to the discovery of the affair and the corporate plot. I spoke about the emotional pain, the shock, the profound sense of betrayal. My voice cracked a few times, but I held it together. I looked Bethany in the eyes, across the courtroom, as I spoke. Her face was devoid of emotion, a blank mask, but I knew she was crumbling inside. Meanwhile, Jake Davis and Kevin Green faced their separate criminal trials. I was a key witness in both, recounting the same terrifying narrative, presenting the evidence of their direct involvement in the attempted murder and corporate fraud. Their lawyers tried to pin blame on each other, to minimize their roles, to sow doubt. But again, the evidence was too strong. My testimony, backed by Frank's impenetrable report and my own recordings, was devastating. Public opinion, which had been a whirlwind of speculation initially, solidified overwhelmingly in my favor. I was portrayed as a victim who had been savagely betrayed, but who had fought back with intelligence and resolve. Social media was now filled with messages of support, cheering me on as I navigated the legal battles. It was a strange kind of comfort, knowing that the world saw the truth. The judge in the divorce case ruled decisively. My prenup, crafted years ago with an abundance of caution, was ironclad. Bethany's arguments were dismissed as baseless. She was left with nothing. No spousal support, no share of Apex, no claim to any of my assets. The look on her face when the verdict was read, a mixture of disbelief, fury, and utter despair, was something I will never forget. Her elaborate scheme had come to nothing, leaving her ruined and facing the full force of the law. The sentencing for Jake and Kevin followed soon after. Jake Davis, for attempted murder and conspiracy, received a lengthy prison sentence. Kevin Green, for the same charges plus the extensive corporate fraud, received an even heavier sentence, facing decades behind bars. Justice, in its slow, grinding way, was finally being served. My complete vindication in both the civil and criminal courts was a relief, but it didn't magically heal the wounds. I had won, but at a tremendous personal cost. However, Apex, thanks to my quick actions and the meticulous work of Frank's team, was already beginning its financial recovery. The systems Kevin had exploited were now secured, the fraudulent transfers reversed, and the company was rebuilding, stronger and more vigilant than ever. The damage was done, but the future, for Apex at least, looked brighter. For me, the path to healing was just beginning. Bethany's world imploded. Beyond the legal verdicts, she faced complete social ostracism. Her former friends, the ones she'd charmed and manipulated, deserted her. Her family, mortified by the scandal and the attempted murder plot, distanced themselves. Financially ruined, with no assets from our marriage and facing potential civil lawsuits from Apex, her legacy was utterly tarnished. She became a pariah, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones. NGL, it was a brutal, well-deserved downfall. I often find myself reflecting on the profound lessons learned. Trust, I realize, is a fragile, precious thing. Once broken, it's nearly impossible to mend. Deception lurks in the most unexpected places, even within the walls of your own home, in the eyes of the people you love. And the true nature of evil isn't always overt. Sometimes it's cloaked in a smile, whispered in a lover's ear, a cold, calculated plot. It changed me fundamentally. I'm warier, yes, but also strangely more appreciative of genuine connections. This experience, as horrifying as it was, ignited a new purpose in me. I'm in the process of setting up a foundation, or maybe an initiative, focused on helping victims of corporate fraud and spousal betrayal. I want to provide resources, legal aid, psychological support, the kind of specialized help I was fortunate enough to access. I want to ensure others who face similar nightmares don't have to navigate them alone. It's a way to channel the anger, the pain, into something positive, something that truly matters. Slowly, meticulously, I'm rebuilding my personal life. It's not easy, the scars of betrayal run deep, but I'm focusing on healing, on reconnecting with myself, and on finding genuine connections. I'm spending more time with my true friends, the ones who stood by me. I'm learning to trust again, cautiously, but with an open heart. It's a process, but I'm committed to it. Now there's a quiet sense of peace that has settled over me. The storm has passed. Justice was served decisively and completely. Bethany, Jake, and Kevin are paying the price for their heinous crimes. That unwavering resolve I had during the investigation has now transformed into a steady calm. The question that used to haunt me, why do the wicked thrive while the honest suffer, doesn't feel as pressing anymore. Because in my case, justice did prevail. The wicked did not thrive. At Apex, the betrayal prompted a complete overhaul. I implemented new, incredibly rigorous security protocols, not just for cyber threats, but for insider threats. Vetting processes are stricter, internal audits more frequent, and a culture of transparency is now paramount. We learned from the inside betrayal, and Apex is stronger, more resilient than ever before. I've also intentionally fostered stronger, more transparent relationships with my remaining trusted friends and colleagues. The ordeal taught me to value authenticity above all else. My circle is smaller now, but it's real, built on honesty and mutual respect. There's a profound sense of closure. Yes, the legal battles are over, the guilty are punished, and my company is safe. But the scars of betrayal remain. They are a permanent testament to my journey, a reminder of what I endured, and a silent guardian against future deception. They're a part of me now, shaping who I am, but no longer defining me. Bethany, Jake, and Kevin. Their moral consequences are devastating. Bethany lost everything: her freedom, her reputation, her future. She's not just financially ruined, she's a social outcast. Jake and Kevin are serving long prison sentences, their professional lives and personal reputations utterly destroyed. Their greed, their ambition, and their willingness to commit murder cost them everything they once held dear. They thought they could get away with it, but they learned the hard way that some betrayals come with a nuclear revenge. The profound consequences of Bethany's betrayal and Kevin and Jake's complicity are still echoing even now. Bethany lost absolutely everything. Her public image is permanently shattered, her reputation in tatters. Financially, she's ruined, completely stripped of any assets. NGL, her social standing is non-existent. She's a pariah, a cautionary tale. She'll live with that for the rest of her life. Kevin and Jake, they're exactly where they belong. Prison, facing decades for their greed and their attempt on my life. Their careers, families, and futures are gone. For me, the victory isn't a clean slate. The scars are deep. TBH, IDK, if I'll ever fully trust anyone the way I once did. Every relationship, every new person comes with a new level of scrutiny. The world looks different now. Colder, more dangerous. But that cold realism also sharpened me. Apex is stronger. My new foundation is a testament to turning a nightmare into a purpose. The pain is a constant companion, a ghost in the corners of my life, but I've found a quiet strength. The wicked didn't thrive. They fell, and their fall continues to send ripples through their destroyed lives, a permanent, chilling reminder of their choices.